The story of Boruto doesn't end on the flashforward scene. Konoha's destruction and Kawaki's hatred for shinobis is just diverting us from the real conclusion of the story, which happens a lot later. Not only that, this sequence as a whole could be one of the possible futures that Boruto saw with his otsutsuki power. And just like this panel from the last glimpse of future, the whole prologue scene could get retconned from the story. What makes this an even greater possibility has something to do with the recent reveals made by the author himself. The omnipotence ability, which was subconsciously activated by Aida, is known to be the power of a supreme otsutsuki god who created the Naruto universe. It's a power that can materialize any thought or idea into existence. This means if Boruto gets the help of an otsutsuki god like Shibai, then he can easily undo this destruction from the time skip in the blink of an eye. Now there are possibly two ways for this twist to actually happen. They could either do it like Dragon Ball or take the very risky Tokyo Revengers approach. The recent reveal of an otsutsuki god who created the universe of Boruto has taken the power scaling to a whole new level. This means we can expect a lot stronger villains in the future, and it would be cool to see Boruto get way stronger over time. However, just like every story in existence, the legacy of Naruto's son has to end, and this power of omnipotence has provided some unique angles to the conclusion. If you think about it, everything that Boruto has lost can be gained back with the power of divine spell. If he goes to an otsutsuki god who's by his side and asks him to restore the destruction, bring back his loved ones, and maybe even seal Kawaki, the deity would happily do it and make his life a lot better. The reason Kawaki needs to be sealed is because otsutsukis are immune from omnipotence, so the only way to get rid of him is either by getting him killed or sealed for the better. Now, as we know how much power this plot device holds, it can literally take the story of Boruto into any direction. We know it will be used at some point again, but the question which is worth discussing is how omnipotence can literally make or break the legacy of this franchise. To understand how it can lead to the downfall of this story, take this example of a manga series, Tokyo Revengers. The first season of its anime was literally everywhere, and some fans even believed it has potential to become the most popular shonen series of the new gen. However, when the season 2 of this anime came out, literally no one knew a sequel has arrived, as the hype from the first season wasn't enough to take the anime further. However, it wasn't exactly the second season that fumbled. Rather, it was the ending of the story, where the author took an omnipotence type of approach to give the main characters their dream life back. After all this intense build-up and tension, we got this. Some people argued that was their dream, so they deserved it at the end, but it doesn't justify the hype that the manga has been building over all these years. You could say it's a happy ending, but in reality, it's a very unrealistic and way too happy ending. And if Boruto ends up on the same path, then it will pretty much impact the overall legacy of the series, that too in a negative manner. The whole plot of Boruto revolved around how a privileged boy lost everything, and now he's protecting everyone from the shadows. He doesn't even care about himself. He believes dying in Konoha is not a bad idea, but his primary focus is the protection of his loved ones. It also seems like he's totally uninterested in his original identity. That ship has already sailed for him. That's why he did not burst out of joy when Shikamaru asked him if he's Uzumaki Boruto. Well, after all this character development, which is reasonable, if you tell me he will get everything back through the omnipotence of an otsutsuki god by the end of the show, then it will certainly disappoint a lot of people, including me. No matter, he might use the omnipotence to rebuild the village or save his loved ones, but if it does something like Tokyo Revengers by making him a 12-year-old again with the perfect life, then it would be the worst happy ending, and I don't think Kishimoto would put an end to the story of Boruto in such a way. Now this brings us to the Dragon Ball approach. Since the gods of Boruto are known to have the power of creating their own worlds, it's very likely that we will be seeing a multiverse type of twist in the story very soon. The reason it makes so much sense to me is because Otsutsukis are immune to omnipotence, so whatever changes are made in the universe by an Otsutsuki god, the celestial race won't be affected at all. Now this gives the Otsutsukis an upper hand against those of them who have turned gods. They can do the grind and become the most powerful themselves like Shibai, only to defeat the other Otsutsuki gods. As Amado also said, there is a slight possibility that Shibai could have been killed, maybe beyond the shinobi world. There is a conflict going on between the gods of multiple universes, and Kishimoto will ultimately take the Dragon Ball approach to start the universal adventures of Boruto, one of the most important reasons for his Otsutsuki evolution. The story will eventually go beyond the shinobi world to explore the Otsutsuki plot in depth. Like we could get the backstories of characters like Momoshiki, Ishiki and Shibai. For example, Momoshiki has always been a stubborn shortcut taking privilege who didn't have any jutsus of his own, and he heavily relied on the absorption technique. Further, he seems to have the knowledge of many shinjutsus, so it could be that he was more aligned with knowledge and history of the divine arts rather than learning them himself. A backstory explaining why he is the way he is would be really interesting, and it might also reveal that he intentionally lost to Boruto just because he wanted to become more powerful in an easy manner. There is the whole structure of the Otsutsuki clan which has been teased over these years, like the way they create pairs, their sole purpose of existence, the high-ranking Otsutsukis who rule on them, and their reaction on Kawaki's revolt. The best Dragon Ball approach that Kishimoto could take after introducing the Otsutsuki clan is to unveil the other celestial beings from the multiverse. In this way, the story could go on forever, but the question remains, will it actually be good for the plot? Honestly speaking, Dragon Ball Super's Tournament of Power arc, where different universes competed to survive, was driven by flawless animation. It's one of the reasons why the anime surpassed the manga, cause they knew what's going to be more profitable. If the same arc came out as a manga years before the anime, then it wouldn't have been as impactful as the anime. And when it comes to Kishimoto's manga, most of the Naruto series was driven by plot rather than animations. It was known for its interesting story, dynamic characters, intense battles, unique ninjutsu systems, character development and emotional storytelling. The Chunin exams Akatsuki storyline and Naruto's journey towards becoming Hokage were specifically thrilling arcs. So if Kishimoto decides to take Boruto to the space, he can't rely on animations to do the magic for him. The story should be as interesting as it is right now without losing the central themes of the plot. So if he's able to perfectly pull off a way to continue the story without disappointing a majority of the fandom, then Boruto must have a bright future ahead. Even though it's pretty clear that no matter how the author decides to continue the story, some people will never be satisfied. There are literally fans of the story who believe Kaguya and the Otsutsuki lore was introduced to milk the story by creating Boruto. Some people never wanted a sequel at all, and by losing themselves in the good old nostalgia, they became blind to the relentless efforts of the author in making his sequel a remarkable one. Now, while we can't deny a story will always have its critics, and some of them will be a pain to deal with, one thing that we can surely expect and predict is the end of the Boruto series. How exactly will the story end? Will it reach a satisfying conclusion, or will it keep a door open for potential sequels in the future? Like Dragon Ball Super premiered almost 20 years after the end of Z, and if a sequel like Boruto appears at least a few decades after the end of Boruto, then I believe you should subscribe to this channel to find out if I will be still making videos by then. Anyway, I personally think the ongoing power scaling has made it hard for a sequel to exist. So if it can't be a new generation, neither it should be a boring happy ending with omnipotence. It's either Boruto dying at the end cause he couldn't escape his destiny, or maybe his destiny actually lies in the Otsutsuki realm, which will be his permanent home. Giving Boruto a franchise and then killing him at the end of the story might not be the best move to make, but there is a theory in my mind which could make this possible. So technically, Boruto and Kawaki have exchanged lives, identities or destinies, whatever you call it. So could it be that whatever misfortune was written for Kawaki will now be placed on Boruto? A person cannot escape his destiny, and by the looks of it, Kawaki wouldn't have survived long if the leaf had got him before either. Maybe Boruto serving the same fate would end up dying someday, which means while stealing Boruto's life, Kawaki stole his plot armor too. Now if things won't take a turn like that, then maybe Boruto will have to live among the Otsutsukis and start a new life there, only to keep his planet safe from future attacks. Let me know in the comments how you want the story of Boruto to end, and also check out these videos for more amazing stuff. I will see you next time.